So carrying on from discussing electron configuration of atoms, we also know that when electrons absorb thermal or electrical energy, they can be promoted to high energy orbitals or subshells or even shells. But when they do, we call the atoms and the electrons, we say that they are in an excited state. So what we are looking at is excited states of atoms and electrons. For example, I'll show you here, if this was sodium's configuration, we call a basic configuration, which we now call ground state, which is that electrons are in the 1s and then the 2s and the 2p and the 3s. This is the configuration of sodium. Now the idea is that the electron in the 3s or any other electron can absorb a certain amount of energy and get promoted to the higher level. Understand that the 3p is at a higher energy than the 3s. We draw them horizontally because they're easier to draw, but we know that as we go from left to right, the energy levels are increasing because they're higher above, or they are further away from the nucleus. So as you go from left to right, they're further away from the nucleus and the energies are greater. So when an electron moves from or gets promoted from the 3s to the 3p here, as this example states, it's actually absorbing energy, and now it's in what we call an excited state. And this can happen with any element. So basically the electronic configurations that you've studied are what we call the configurations for ground state of atoms. And anytime they are in a higher state, we'll call electrons in a different orbital than the ground state, those are called excited states. It can happen with sodium. You could have taken the 2s electron and move it there. Obviously it would have required more energy, but that could have also have happened. But all of those would be examples of excited states and not ground states. All right? So the ground state is the one where you've been filling out. And any other configuration for an atom is possible, but it'll require energy, and we'll call that the excited state. It'll require energy to promote itself. So for example, if this is what we have for sodium, now I'll show you a couple of more examples. I'll use these electron box diagrams to prove my point. Let's talk about what you might call it, beryllium. Now beryllium has 4 electrons. So let's say I put 4. This would be called the ground state of beryllium right here. All right. And the idea is that one of the 2s electrons can absorb energy and jump right here, get promoted. So one of the 2s's can get promoted to go there or anywhere here for that matter. And this would be called the excited state because it isn't the ground state. The ground state is one that you've learned the rules to fill. But it didn't have to be that the 2s jumps to the 2p. You could have also had the 1s get promoted to the 2p. So you could have also had it like this, that one of the 1s's goes to the 2p. And that's absolutely possible. You would call that also the excited state. Now, if you had moved the p's here or the here, it wouldn't matter then, but this would be the excited state. All right. So these two are excited states of beryllium, and the above is the ground state of beryllium. Let's take another example. This time around, let's take, for that matter, silicon. Now silicon is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So it's 2p6, 3s2, 3p2. Now, if any of these lower ones, 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, were to promote to the 3p or even the 4s, that doesn't exist here, but it will if it gets promoted to, we will call that an excited state. Meaning that, let's say even if this happens, I'll take a 2p electron and say, you know what, I'm moving to the 4s, and I'll make the 4s. And literally what I've done is, I've taken this 2p and moved it to the 4s right there. That's what. Now this will be an excited state. It's possible. Everything is possible, but it won't be the ground state. It will not be the state it naturally exists as. This requires energy, and we call this the excited state. Only the top one is the ground state. Now, also, if I said, you know what? Okay, how about I just do this. I just move them here. Now, if we had moved these two here, for example, if I had literally said, you know what, move this electron here, it would still be the ground state because there's still the same energy. It's just that the order is different, but it'll be the same energy. But if I had put them in the, but in the same orbital like this, that would not be the ground state, because the ground state applies the rule where the individual orbitals fill up before they pair up. This would have required energy to do, and this would be the excited state. So you should be able to spot electrons in the ground state, and if it's not the ground state, it by default becomes the excited state. All right. So that's the concept of excited state. Now we're going to be looking at electronic configuration of ions.
Quick pause. If you're finding value in this explanation, there's so much more to discover at Alt Academy, where we break down every A-level concept with the same clarity. Now back to the video lesson.
What are ions? Ions are formed when elements gain or lose electrons. Now, for example, if I start with fluorine. Now, fluorine has 9 electrons. Its configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 5. And we know it becomes a fluoride anion, which means it has gained 1 electron. Now, how would I write its configuration? The electron gained will go to fill up the outermost orbitals. So, fluoride will actually become 2p6. The 2p5 will fill up to 2p6. So you can write it as 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, or the electron-in-box diagrams. Now, this is when an electron is gained. You can also talk about when electrons are lost. And it doesn't even have to be the stable ions. It could be any ion. If you remember, we even made positive ions from non-metals when we talked about ionization energies. So oxygen, for that matter, is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4, which has 8 electrons. So if I want to talk about oxygen plus ion, what will happen is that the outermost electron will be lost. And you'll fill up these, 8 electrons will now be 7. And they will lose electrons from the outermost shell. And obviously remember, how was 2p4? 2p4 was 2 electrons unpaired and 2 paired. So O plus would become 3 unpaired. Now, where was the electron removed? The electron literally was right there, this white electron that I'm making right now. So the 2p4 was this. And to become O plus is the last electron you add that gets removed in this case. So that would be 2p plus. Now I'll show you some more ions to talk about and examples, all right? You could have cations and anions and stuff like that. Here an example is of boron, has 5 electrons, 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 1. If I only want to make boron plus, then the outermost is lost, that is a 2p. Obviously, if I had made boron 3 plus, then 2p and 2s are lost. But if it's only 1 plus, only the 2p is lost. All right. You can make positive ions from anions and cations and so on and so forth. You know, nitrogen you can make it a positive ion out of it and a negative ion out of it. So here is a nitrogen atom. Nitrogen, remember, has 7 electrons, 2, 4, and 3. So the positive ion will just lose the outermost electron. But nitrogen doesn't naturally make a positive ion. What we know it makes is a nitride anion to fulfill the octet. So the way that does it is that if you remember the nitrogen is 1s2, 2s2, 2p3, the N3 minus would mean it has to gain 3 electrons, and those will come in the 2p's, 1, 2, and 3. So these are the 3 extra electrons that we have gained, 1, 2, and 3, and now it has become the octet configuration. If you remember, this is for nitrogen. I mean, there is also, I'll show you a couple of more examples for ions. Lithium as an atom is 1s2, 2s1. And lithium is a 1 plus ion, will lose all of its outer shell electrons. In that case, that's only the 2s electron. All right. Yeah. For example, if I don't even use the electron-in-box diagrams and I talk about calcium. Now, calcium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2. And we know calcium makes a 2 plus ion because it loses the outer shell electrons. Those are the 4s2. So what's it left with? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. And so these are some of the configurations of some of the elements and their ions. I'll show you another few examples more, but yeah, that's how you work them out. You either remove the outermost electrons to complete the octet, or you add electrons to the outermost orbitals to make the octet. Here are some more from the periodic table. Neon doesn't make. If you have neon here as a reference, neon argon, because they are the references. Anything either will lose or gain electrons to become neon's configuration, or in this case argons also. So when magnesium loses the outermost electrons, it's left with 2p6, because magnesium was 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2. 2 plus means the 3s2 is lost, you left with 2p6. Nitride that we just saw was 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, because it has gained 3 electrons. Potassium was, as an element, it was 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s1. But as a cation, plus it loses the 4s1 and now has the same configuration as argon. So elements lose or gain electrons to have the same configuration as their nearest noble gas. So for magnesium and nitrogen, the nearest noble gas is neon. For potassium and sulfur, remember sulfur is 16 electrons. Its configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p4. And the 4 gains 2 electrons to become the sulfide 2- ion and becomes the same configuration as in argon. So you already kind of knew this from O-levels IGCSE. See that the outermost electrons are lost or gained to complete the octet, the same configuration as the nearest noble gas. Now the same configuration, instead of in shell terms, is given in subshell terms. Alright, so that ends this video lesson. Hey there, if you found this A-level chemistry lesson helpful, why don't you head over to our website, altacademy.org, where you can sign up for the full A-level chemistry course. In addition to chemistry, you can sign up for physics, biology, math, or 4 other A-level subjects. Thousands of students have already taken the leap. What are you waiting for?